There's a global Islamophobia issue that we don't talk about.
Why do you think some people, they have this hostility in the media space towards this region?
Racism. Naysayers will say, oh, it's built on oil and money will run out. But if you
that's what I hear a lot. Like, oh, it's built on oil. Everything oil. Like, there is no other reason.
But if you look at the GDP growth from the 70s and you take three countries, UAE, UK, USA, Lovin Dubai is a mix of what the city is, and it's about the community. We have a manifesto. We say love and life, and we say communities, not companies. We like to tell the stories of people. I was learning, I was passionate, I was putting life aside. I wanted to build something. And I thought I would set up a real-time social media agency, and this became it.
Do you think Saudi, with their Vision 2030 and even Vision 2050 for Riyadh, do you think it will come a day that they will surpass UAE in terms of tourism and lifestyle and all of that? Downtown or Dubai Marina?
Oh, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
I choose.
City Walk or Blue Waters?
Oh, and these are good questions on Dubai.
If you live in Dubai and you never heard of Lovin Dubai, it's a must-have if you live here. I have today the person behind this big media platform that is changing the world, or changing this part of the world when it comes to media. I have today with me Richard. How are you, Richard?
I'm good, Waleed, and thanks for having me on, and thanks for the kind words.
You deserve like all this, man. Like what you did, it's big. I mean, a lot of things that like when I was new in Dubai, I had to go through Lovin Dubai to understand the mentality, how things are. It gave an honest image, or an honest view of what's going on in this city. The reason why I'm also interested to have a podcast with you is that you are from the West, and you came to Dubai not recently. You came to Dubai a long time ago, where like you came in a time where Dubai coming here was like an odd move, like something strange, and you put it off. You came here, and I really want to know, like, what was the catalyst? How come you decided just, okay, I'm gonna go to the Middle East, to UAE, Dubai? Like, what was the story?
Yeah, Dubai is definitely a special city. How long have you been here?
Now almost 9 years.
Yeah, so similar. And where did you grow up?
I came from Algeria. Like, it's a third world country. For us, it's an upgrade somehow. But for you and people like you, you're from England, right? Ireland, sorry. You're from Ireland.
But I was living in London before I moved to Dubai.
So that's where I cut your story from. Like, you were in England. You did some sort of forum for burritos to review them.
I had a blog called 52 Burrito Dates, and while I worked with a social media agency in London.
Yes, exactly. So for you guys, I don't think you see UAE the same way we do. For you, it's like a different world. Like, you're in England. It's far from here. A lot of people that time, they didn't know what's the UAE. So how come you, among a lot of people, you saw opportunity there, or you didn't? I don't know what's the story behind it.
I wanted to get the next highest paying job that I could get, and I was the senior social media manager in an agency in London. I wanted to be a director, and my bosses were 14 years older than me. And in a city that's already built, growth is stagnated. You have to wait a long time in companies. So a headhunter offered me a job with Ogilvy first, and then with Mindshare as head of social media in the UAE. The only time I'd ever been to the UAE, I passed through Abu Dhabi on the way to Everest Base Camp, which happened to be serendipity, happened to be with members of the royal family, with Rashid's School for Boys in 2009. And that was something that I did, that I went on a charity expedition through social media and through agency work. But I'd never been to the UAE, and it wasn't on my radar at all, Waleed. I didn't think, it wasn't my career trajectory. I didn't think of it. And going back to your point, when I asked for advice amongst these sophisticated digital marketers and what I thought were the top of their game globally in London, it was a month before the Olympics in 2012. We were doing visa campaigns, Usain Bolt, Lloyds Banking Group. Like, we had hundreds of millions of dollars to spend coming through our agencies. It was really big time for media. And when they heard I was thinking of Dubai, they said, you're really ruining your career. You know what they used to say about Hong Kong? Filth. When you went to do banking and finance in Hong Kong, failed in London, try Hong Kong. And they were almost trying, this is in the finance world, and people might relate to it, but they almost tried to say the same thing as if, a 28-year-old, bright, young, ambitious guy like me, saying I'm bright and young, ambitious, whatever, but like I was trying to grow my career, and they thought it was almost career suicide by coming coming to the Middle East back then, but I
Yeah.
wanted to prove them wrong, and I came and I had that ambition to prove them wrong. So yeah.
And I'm sure they know they were wrong by now. But look, so like your colleagues and the people in your work environment, obviously they will not see it, but I think the way your family took it, it's also like from your family, your friends, how they like when you told them, when you announced like, oh look guys, I'm gonna go to the Middle East or Dubai, what was the reaction?
I was offered double the salary I was on in London, so
Yeah.
they understood that, but they didn't understand. Like, they were a bit dismissive. And you know what I love now about Dubai, I used to think in the first few years, you know, convince people in the West, like
Yeah.
I love in Dubai, let's convince people that they're wrong. But now we don't bother. Now we just focus on residents and people here.
Yeah.
And we become, in a way, more proud of here, even more proud. And we just tell our own stories. So
Yeah.
we don't need to convince anymore. There was very little material and media back then of
Yeah.
Dubai. And then credit to the city, credit to the leaders. And I'm not just saying that, but like really, Dubai is on the map globally. It gets exciting. We look at shows like Dubai Bling. We look at the canvas of the city. Like back then, there was nothing. And I was here from 2012 to 2015, but I was doing social media marketing for this agency. Algeria was actually one of the only countries that the agency network I was in didn't have an office in Algiers. But we had Tunis, we had Casablanca.
Khartoum, Sudan. I was shocked when I
Yeah.
saw that. Like when you are
Well,
in
Lovin now,
city-
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, but before I started Lovin, I used to travel around the Middle East
Yeah.
and North Africa for social media for my job. And then I set up Lovin Dubai in 2015, and now we do have Lovin in 22 cities. I've had conversations with people in Algeria. There's Wow Radio Network there in Algiers. They do digital radio. They do really cool shows. But I've had conversations, and we will set up Love in Algiers. If you know
Oh,
any
really?
journalists, if you want a partner,
I
let me
can
know.
hook you up for sure. I can make you meet important people in Algiers. Especially, I'm from Oran. It's the coolest city. Yeah.
You're an
But,
important person to me. Like it just needs to be bright young people like yourself. But
Amazing.
Oran is another city, is it?
Yeah, so Oran, it's like, you know, in Abu Dhabi is the capital, but Dubai is like somehow where the cool things happen. Like the same thing in Algeria is. I know that people from Algiers will hate this, but that's the truth. They know that. Okay, look, another thing that I want to know is that when I started podcasting, and of course you have to exist on social media, not only on YouTube. I'm a YouTube guy, but you have also to exist in social media. I noticed like there's a hostility towards GCC. Like people, they in the comment section, they are really against this growth that's happening here. According to you, coming from Europe, England, why you think some people there, I'm not saying all of them, obviously, why you think some people, they have this hostility in the media space towards this region?
Racism.
Wow.
Fundamentally,
Yeah.
look, let's call it what it
Yeah.
is. There's a global Islamophobia issue that we don't talk about, and people are jealous and people throw shade. I have friends who I try to say that football's coming up in Saudi, and they dismiss it. They dismiss it because they think they can't do something like the white people in London and England did. You know, they don't say it so bluntly, but it's so obvious to me. I've been here a long time, and I see it, and it's jealousy, but there's a fundamental ingrained issue there, and it stems from geopolitical stuff. It stems from other things, and you know, the world is changing. The world changed 100 years ago. Empires shift, and the world is changing again. And you know, it's great. We can say it with confidence now. The Gulf is on the map. The power brokers are here. The sovereign wealth funds. The tourism is on the rise. There's lots of people moving here. So we're proud, and we know we're right.
Yeah.
And back then, people didn't think, and there's still negativity. There's still hostility. But I think they're wrong, and I think they're wrong on their views on different ethnicities and different parts of the world. And when something hasn't been built yet, the cities have been built, but people can't see the vision in the same way that visionary leaders can. And these projects aren't finished. The giga projects aren't finished in Saudi. Look how dismissive people are about MBS's giga projects. right? But like believe, what they built in Dubai, so believe. So, and the ones, Warren Buffett used to say bet on America. But if you read books from the turn of the 20th century, and there's quotes I read a lot about like the founders of the Daily Mail and William Randolph Hearst. If you read those autobiographies, there was debate in the world 120 years ago about which countries would be the big ones in the 1900s, in the 20th century. They weren't sure because
they were not sure about US that it would be big.
They weren't sure. I think like the capital markets and the US wasn't a power state. Like the UK the British Empire was still the powerful one back then 150 years ago. And they weren't sure. Germany had just united under Ottoman Bismarck. Like these countries were new, and the UK was the superpower. And so they weren't sure, and now they're not sure. Now they don't know
exactly.
They're not sure. Is it China? And for me, it's the Gulf. For me, it's this part of the world. It's visionary leaderships. It's Saudi Arabia. But I do think the same way with monopolies in media and monopolies in country, I do think we are entering into a different era, and I do think we're entering into a data and AI and a different era, and it won't be the same as a country nation state superpower. So I think it's going to be a little bit more fluid.
Actually, the way you see things, they're similar to the way I see things, because my father, he's a fan of history. So in my family, we know a lot. Like I can go back from Anatolian Empire till today. I know all how civilization jumped from one area to another.
Love it.
And there is like markers of each society where when it's gonna fall, and markers when a society will rise. I mean, if you see like between the Greeks and the Romans, even though they're like neighbors, how the shift happened. The way I think, just to add to what you said, because you mentioned China and all of that, I think this region will have a rise in civilization, but in terms of opportunities and lifestyle. We're not talking armies and like high technology. Like, you have Korea, you have Japan, you have China. Those countries, they're already leading.
Lifestyle is nice in Spain, but the economy is crap. Like nice all across the Mediterranean. In northern Algeria is nice, but the economy is crap. You can't have one without the other. You need the industry. We need, whether it's data AI, whether it's manufacturing, whether it's and we need to believe in this. We need to, one of the things when we were building a content company, I outsourced my content originally with Mindshare to. In Lebanon, I hired 30 trilingual graduates and built a social media department. But when I was building Lovin Dubai, I wanted to prove that I could hire people from Dubai and make the margins on sponsored content here. It was 6 years before I opened an office in Cairo to do my tech and stuff like that. Now we've lived in Cairo, but I wanted to prove I could do it for here. And I see content as manufacturing. There were I used to do a podcast, and now it's a Smashy Business Daily Show, but I interviewed 250 CEOs from 2019 until end of last year on the Dubai Works Business Podcast, and two of the Colleton, what's his name, and the other guy, Rizwan, Danube, and another group, and the two Indian billionaires talked about the 1990s. One guy did manufacturing for furniture and homes within the UAE, and the other guy started, it's a brilliant interview, I forget exactly, but he did like a valve or a tube, and he supplied automotive. And he kind of, at the time it was like, German companies in automotive is expensive but quality, and Chinese manufacturing is cheap but not good quality. So both of those individuals changed the rules, and they did manufacturing in different parts of the UAE, maybe like in I don't know, different cheaper,
there is a lot of industrial areas.
Exactly. And we look at rack chromatics and stuff like that. So I do think whether it's AI or whether it's stuff like that, like we fundamentally look at things differently. And what we're trying to do, like we only really hire people who studied, say, Naham bin Rashid School for journalism in AUD or AUS or SAE, and we bring people into our 12,000 square foot factory studio, I call it factory, in Studio City, in Production City. But like basically, like we're trying to make content and tell stories, and that's the ingredient. So when I interview business people here, and when I hear that they're trying to make things here and work with the margins and the economics of here, I think it's great.
All right, I want to ask you. I love the way the podcast. The direction that the podcast is going is interesting, because I have a question that I didn't put in my mind, or I didn't put in my notes. Why you think this region is booming? What's the what's the secret? Is there why the same thing is not happening in another region? Why it's happening only here?
You know, you can look at this through a different vein. I'll try and look at it as economics because that's what I studied.
Yeah.
But there's different factors. Like you could look at climate, like this region, because it's used to different extreme climate weather.
Yeah.
It's geared towards, like, we can be productive in the summer, whereas Europe is taking time off at the moment or whatever. Like climate is one thing. The leadership in the region, we now have hope and vision. We have people to aspire for. When you're building a city, it allows things to move. When I moved to London, I thought I was joining the cool city of the world in my 20s before the Olympics. I thought I was going to be part of a rising city.
Yeah.
And what I realized is I missed the boat. I should have been there in the 60s. You know, you should have been in Paris when Picasso was there 120 years ago, because it was happening then.
Yeah.
You go to Paris now and it's like everyone's retired.
Yeah.
Like you go to London and it's slow.
Yeah.
Nothing moves. Politics is slow. The tube is built. The buildings are built. It's rich. It's slow. It's happy. You know, ish. Like, well, it was, but now I don't know. But like, but here, people like it moves fast. I'm frustrated. Timelines. People don't. Yeah, that's what energy is.
Yeah,
that's what fast pace is. Embrace the chaos. Embrace the frustration, and realize that things are happening. Things are being built, and that's where opportunity is.
Yeah,
that's what I was trying to say about Warren Buffett when he used to say bet in America and the rise of the 100 years. If you look at the GDP growth over the last 40 years and you look at the compound, the percentage, naysayers will say, oh, it's built on oil and no money will run out. But if you
that's what I hear a lot. Like, oh, it's built on oil. Everything oil. Like, there is no other reason.
But if you look at the GDP growth from the 70s and you take three countries, UAE, UK, USA, all begin with you, right? You take those three entities, we're growing faster, right? Compounding, we're growing faster, and growth is all about compounding in numbers and economics. So it's getting more diverse, it's growing faster, and so I think you should bet on the UAE. I think you should look at all the IPOs. I think you should look at the utility things and look at the sukuks, and you need to bet on the UAE because that's what a young Warren Buffett would do.
Yeah.
And if you, and I'm not talking about like finance, but I'm looking at it from a media point of view.
Yeah.
I think in the private, I'm borrowing a phrase I heard by an ex-US presidential candidate recently. And what he said was the private sector is governed by two things, finance and communication. And finance sector drives all capital. It drives all construction. Yeah. So everything that's been built, it all needs financing. Yeah. So everyone in real estate, there's money coming somewhere. Yeah. Right. Everything else is about communication. It's about media.
Communication brings people, manpower.
Yeah. Yeah. And communication is services. Yeah. It's branding. It's hearts and minds. It's storytelling, and you know, I'm inspired by that because if you can build what Walt Disney built, what Rupert Murdoch built, if you can look at the runway of the next 100 years and you look at the Middle East and North Africa as your canvas in this emerging market, wow, what a place, what a time.
It's like we are in the position where US was 150 years ago. And that's how I feel about it. And by the way, I'm also a media guy, but more into the cinema kind of things. I'm a script writer, or a wannabe script writer. And when I hear you talk, because I saw your reels and you say, you bring a lot Walt Disney. And the same way I see Hollywood, like I think something like Hollywood can happen here, even though it happens somehow in the Arabic world in Egypt, out of the Egyptian cinema. But I think the Arabic world and cinema can lead very soon, like in terms of cinema.
Yeah, look, I agree. I mean, Netflix has made the world a studio, a global studio. And we saw YouTube had to add a new category on genre and music in 2014 for K-pop, Gangnam Style, right? Yeah. And that wasn't a genre. And, you know, then we saw Korean cinema and, you know, the different things pop up on Netflix with Squid Games and things like that. And you know what we're seeing now, Walid? Turkish content. Turkish content is exploding. First on Shahad dubbed and repeated shows, and like globally, Turkish content is getting a lot of reputation. And before that wasn't known. Like it was Egyptian
Spanish
movie.
as well, huh?
Spanish
talking
as well.
About Netflix.
Yeah, globally. But I'm kind of talking about this region a little bit. But like, so Saudi's a little bit jealous of what's happening in Turkey, and Egypt is, you know, but I see it everywhere. Like I see it with content creators here. We see still lots of good content coming out of the Levant Levant region, Lebanese production. Lebanese production company made Dubai Bling and other shows and things like that.
Yeah, they're good with cinema. Okay, I want to talk now about my favorite thing, which is Lovin Dubai. You have no idea how much I love Lovin Dubai. I love that platform. It's simple, but still very essential. The way you guys did it, there is this simplicity about it that it's just, and there is something special about it. Simple, useful, all what you can name it. But when you started Lovin Dubai, that moment when I don't know how it happened. You were in Instagram and you created the name Lovin Dubai. You put the logo. Were you expecting this will happen? Did you see it as a vision, or what happened is total surprise for you?
Firstly, thanks for saying that. I get excited when I hear that, and it is good. And I think Lovin Dubai is a mix of what the city is, and it's about the community. We have a manifesto. We say love and life, and we say communities, not companies. We like to tell the stories of people. But it's media, it's news, it's a horizontal. We're disciplined. We don't do love and food, love and sports. We stay Lovin Dubai. And my friend had set up Lovin Dublin. It was a blog in 2012. I was leaving Mindshare. I was looking for another thing. I became MD of a tech startup. And then I was in the summer of 2015. I was on holiday with my brother and sister in Bali, and I signed a 10-year area development agreement to start Lovin across the region.
Okay.
And on the 1st of September 2015, we had lovindubai.com.
All right.
And we started publishing 10 to 12 articles a day.
Cool.
And we got 250,000 page views in the first month. 23 reasons you need to visit Dubai once before you die was the viral article of the time, and we boosted it. And then we just clickbait. We just published all the time. Other titles in the region we're barely doing digital. They were still in print. When 7 Days, the newspaper, shut down in 2016, we bought their assets and we merged them on top of Lovin Dubai, and we just grew. We got to 2.9 million page views in June 2017.
All right.
And then now we're up to now it's 22 cities across the region. We do 1 billion video views a year. We have about 12 million followers. We have 22 Lovin cities. We have 100 staff. We'll do $12 million in revenue this year. We have 5 offices. We have the biggest Snapchat Arabic shows in the world in Saudi. It just goes on and on.
But did you...
1,200 clients last year, 21,000 clients in our database, 200 interns. Just...
You're telling me all of this because you want to answer my question by telling me you didn't know that this will happen. I don't think you said, I will reach what you were reciting for me. With the first day when you were starting Lovin Dubai, did you see this as a vision or no?
I wrote down the mission for Augustus Media the first day. I wrote down to become the modern media choice of Middle East and North Africa. The vision, I want to establish and maintain a new order in global media.
So it was a vision.
Yeah.
Interesting.
From day one.
Yeah.
But the mission is 22 countries, Middle East and North Africa. And everything I do is dictated by region, digital and IP.
Yeah.
So everything. So we'll only do it if it's going to be on Lovin or Smashy. We'll only do it if it's this region. We'll only do it if it's digital. We say no to radio. We say no to influencer marketing. It's not our IP. We say no to everything, and we just build and build and build. But I was working for 10 years in media and social media agencies. I was learning, I was passionate, I was putting life aside. I wanted to build something.
Yeah.
And I thought I would set up a real-time social media agency, and this became it.
Yeah.
With the freedom to publish all the time, 24/7, go all the time. Lovin Dubai became the thing that I could build, and we just ran with it.
So you know why this question is very important for me? Because I feel like most of people who talk about their success, they talk about the success as if it happened by accident. I rarely meet people who their success was their vision. I think successful people, there is a very small portion among them that they saw their success before starting working for it. You got my point? You hear a lot of people, like, for example, even things like Facebook. Even Mark Zuckerberg said it, that he didn't expect it to be what it is. But there's other people who saw the vision, like, for example, Steve Jobs. He saw what he's doing before starting it. And I'm interested to meet people who had that vision. That vision is very powerful. That's why this question is important to me.
It's vision. It's also passion. Like coming from Algeria, you like football, right?
Yeah, I was like religion for us.
And Zidane
Yeah.
is Algerian.
Yeah,
let's be honest.
he's originally Algerian, yes.
Yeah. Well, Zidane is talented, and I saw him play once, and he was he was beautiful on the pitch.
Yeah.
Saw him play live. But I like Pep Guardiola, and Pep Guardiola was a defense midfielder, but he was always thinking, and he's passionate, and he works hard.
Yeah.
And I love this. And he always was going to be a coach. He was always going to be a manager.
Yeah.
And when I was working in agencies, I was always going to build something, either internally for someone else or build something myself. So I was practicing. I was going to different companies. I was reading books.
Yeah.
I was like, I wanted to do it. Like, I wanted to be a football coach first.
Oh, really?
Way back, yeah. I did
All right.
coaching badges and stuff like that. And then I wasn't inspired. When I met coaches, they didn't have degrees, and, you know, football, like, they weren't what the media made them out to be. Like, Guardiola is, Wenger was, Jose is, or whatever, right? But the ones who I met in the clubs that they weren't. So slowly my mind moved to this space, and my passion became into social media.
Yeah.
And I used to go around the agencies. I thought, like, as a young guy moving to London, I thought I wouldn't be able to work because they're bigger, they're brighter, they can speak better than me, you know. But when I got there, I was like, no, I'm as good as them.
Yeah.
And then when I got to the Middle East, I was like, okay, for first few years going around setting up social media profiles for all these brands around the region. And whenever there's a crisis on social media, I'd be dragged in front of the client and I'd be shouted at for an hour across the region. I won't name countries, and some funny stories. But then I knew I could handle it.
Yeah.
The MD of the Saudi office, he met me in London, and he said he'll be eaten up because I was a 28-year-old guy, and he thought I'd be like, you know, shouted out of the rooms. He didn't think I was mature enough to take on this director role. And then when I came here, after I knew, then that kind of imposter syndrome thing, that went away. I knew I could do it.
Yeah.
So when I jumped into the Lovin Dubai thing, I was kind of ready, you know?
Yeah, you had the experience enough. You knew, you have a vision. Your vision was tested in other things, and you know what the steps you have to take.
Confidence, ability, like that resilience was there.
Yeah.
I was 32, and I also almost had, you know, people talk about burning boats or whatever. It's not a term I've used before, but like, I almost had nothing. Like, I put everything into it.
Yeah.
I sold my car. I was down to no money. You know, I cut my salary in half. I had no salary when I joined.
Yeah.
And I used my brother's money, my money, friends' money. That $160,000 went in the first 12 months. That was it. And really, the percentage equity was going away because it was a franchise. It wasn't something that you could put a lot of cash into.
Yeah.
But then I bought out of the franchise. I own the whole thing now in terms of the region. Or the Augustus does. And then I kept building, and I kept kept building, kept going. And I'm only 40. I've got 40 years to go. Hopefully 60.
By now, the healthcare and all of that, we will live a long time. When 80 years old of today and 80 years old of after 40 years, they will not be the same guy. I think they will move a lot. They will be. I hope.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know about the food and all this. Anyways, that's another subject.
Yeah.
But you know, when you were talking about burning the boats, you know, I am living what you're talking about right now, because I literally I'm not working for Louis Vuitton anymore. I quit my job, and it looks like I'm burning the boats. I have a side hustle to make some money, but I understand it. I understood that you have to start when you're not ready. If you're waiting to be ready and start, you will never start. And when I hit the wall, I started what I always wanted to do. But there is something else I want to dive in when it comes to this region, because now you are a guy who is, the amount of information you have about the region, it's huge, I'm sure. And lately we're seeing that Saudi is leading, or wants to lead, wants to build things. And do you think Saudi, with their Vision 2030 and even Vision 2050 for Riyadh, do you think it will come a day that they will surpass UAE in terms of tourism and lifestyle and all of that?
It doesn't matter, and I don't really go down that line of answering. Like, I don't think it matters. Like, I think what's amazing is that there's a leader there that you can get behind and you can believe and you can follow, and that's inspiring for young entrepreneurs, for young people. That's inspiring, you know.
Yeah.
I think that's the important thing. Like, he said, I was at the FII events, I go to them, and he said Middle East is the new Europe, and that's inspiring, right? Like,
Yeah.
you know, Ireland joined the EU in 1973, and Ireland was in a recession in the 80s, and then Ireland became Celtic Tiger, and the economy grew in the 90s, and it was because of cross-border trade. And I think this sort of approach to all boats rising tide.
Yeah.
I think this approach to cross-border trade is really important, and I don't think it needs to be one or the other. Right now, unfortunately, the larger population economies in the wider MENA region and other parts like, say, MENA and India or whatever, some of these huge countries, unfortunately, their economies and their currencies are in a bad situation, right? Like 200 million people in Pakistan. There is no economy in Pakistan. My brother was in Karachi last week, and he told me he sat there because he had visa issues, and he was 4 or 5 hours in the morning. He saw 6 planes come and go. He said there's nothing happening there.
Yeah, it's
right. Like, Turkey's a disaster because of what they did. You know, the currency. Egypt was one of the fastest growing economies in the world, 8 or 9% growth pre-pandemic, and now it's a disaster.
Yeah.
Right, 3 devaluations in 18 months. So, and then you look at Tunis, you look at Iraq, you look at Iran, you look at all these huge populations, and that's not good, right? But what we've got is the Gulf. The Gulf is on fire, right? Like, another $5.6 billion Disney-like park announced in Qatar 2 days ago. Like, I look at these headlines and I share them. I don't think people know how exciting this is.
It's
do
huge.
Do you know how much money that is? Do you know how much money it is? Like, out of nowhere, no one. Look at the map. Like, look at Doha. Qatar. It's tiny. Like 40 kilometers north of Doha, they're just building this thing, right? And like, how can you not be inspired by it?
Of course.
Like, it's stories, it's tourism, it's the future. Like, anyone who naysays these Gulf states just doesn't understand history.
Yeah.
Look at history. Look, go back to Baghdad. Go back to Alexandria.
Yeah.
At the turn around the BC 2,000 years ago.
Yeah.
Alexandria was the most populated country in the whole world. After Alexandria the Great, after that, Cleopatra and all that. But like, there was 3 to 4 or 500,000 people in that city at that time, 2,000 years ago. Biggest city in the whole world. Look at Baghdad, even before that. The dates.
Baghdad, you're talking about Uruk before Alexandria.
Yeah, so originally Baghdad wasn't a city. It was just a piece of turf or whatever, but they built a circular state there, right? And like, it was a huge thing under that empire, right? It was a huge place. And what's happening now is, like, Dubai and these Gulf cities, Qatar, Abu Dhabi, these cities are the Baghdad and Alexandria of their time.
Of that time, yes, exactly. You know, you answered it. You answered the question of Saudi or UAE in a very interesting way, because it's not Saudi or UAE; it's the whole GCC. Like, if Saudi will develop, other Emirates in the UAE will develop, Bahrain, Kuwait, they will all rise together. I'm 100% sure.
And they get it. Like, MBS and MBZ and the leaders here, they get it.
Yeah.
They know it.
Yeah.
They have the same views. They have the same views of Islam. They have the same views of putting their region and their people first.
Exactly. Yeah.
They have the same views about international diplomacy. They have the same views on many things. They want their people here to grow, and they want heroes in this region. And going back to your point about manufacturing, and okay, it's good lifestyle here, but we need champions, and we need media champions, and we need other champions, and we need sport champions. And like, how do people get inspired? Like I say, Zidane, obviously Riyad Mahrez, and there's other people, but like, when I was growing up, Roy Keane used to play for Man United, so I thought I could be a footballer. Unfortunately, he was better than me. But there's times where you believe because you see, and there's kids playing in the streets of Cairo now and wider Egypt to see the Egyptian king in Anfield, and they believe. Yeah. And this is what's happening.
They got inspired. They get inspired. Heroes make us inspired.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And His Highness here wants to, the space stuff, the astronaut stuff.
Yeah.
That's why he's doing it.
For inspiration. I understand their vision, because they want to make people, their kids, to understand that you can be this guy. And, if you implant this in the heads of thousands or millions of kids, This is powerful.
Western media does a brilliant job at creating icons and celebs out
Yeah.
of their people.
Yeah.
We need to do the same.
Exactly.
You know, if you're a young female in the US, you can do it because Oprah says you can do it. But
Exactly.
we need that here.
Exactly 100%. Look, there is the best part of Checked is a challenge called This or That. I'm getting viral with this challenge, and I try to design one for you, design like a special one for you. You know, I'm also stuck with the title of your episode. We will talk about it after the challenge, but you will love it. So basically, the challenge. I don't know if you saw one of my. You didn't. So basically, This or That. I'm gonna give you like 2 options, and you have to choose one. If you want to build up why you choose that one, it's okay. You can briefly build up on it. Good. You ready? We start. Cool. So, This or That challenge. Emirates Mall or Dubai Mall?
Emirates Mall.
Emirates Mall. You like me on that.
Well, I'll tell you why, because
Yeah.
it's closer to me. Dubai Mall is unbelievable, but Emirates Mall I've always known. And do you know what I like about it lately? Majid Al Futtaim do a great job at the share app and the
Yeah.
loyalty and the rewards. So yeah, Emirates Mall is the one. Mo is the one I
Yeah.
like. Yeah.
Cool. Me too, by the way. Burj Khalifa or Burj Al Arab?
Burj Khalifa. Burj Al Arab is nice, but Burj Khalifa impacts the economy more. More people go up it, and it's a global icon, and
Yeah.
it does better when we post photos on Lovin Dubai. It gets more likes than Burj Al Arab.
And you have your reasons, man. All right. Downtown or Dubai Marina?
Oh, that's a tough one. I lived in Dubai Marina for the first year when I was here.
Yeah.
But downtown is spectacular. It's beautiful. Like the boulevard. I just think it's. I just think like I had a choice to buy a property as an investment property, and I choose downtown over Dubai Marina. I think it's the Manhattan. I know everywhere is good, but I think downtown's the one.
Downtown. All right. I'm a Dubai Marina guy. Maybe if I grow up, I'll change, but for now, I'm a Dubai Marina guy. All right. City Walk or Blue Waters?
Oh, and these are good questions on
Yeah.
Dubai. City Walk. City Walk's on the radar, and here it's not doing well. But I think it didn't. Neither existed when I came here. But I think City Walk's got a nice little spark about it. It's got a campus in the middle of it. It's
Yeah.
got cool cafes. Blue Waters is cool, but I still think, you know, when they launched the Monopoly board, they shoved Blue Waters on it. You knew what they tried to do on branding. I think they did infrastructure excellent. They built that flight. They made accessible from Sheikh Zayed Road directly, and they're trying to do the same now with Dubai Harbour. And Blue Waters has its thing, but the aim needs to work. And the sea at the back of like where they're changing Sears Palace to Banyan, that sea's a beautiful sea.
Yeah.
But for now, City Walk's quite cool.
City Walk. All
Yeah,
right.
Coca-Cola Arena, all that stuff.
Cool. Okay. Formal or casual? What do you like in terms of clothing? You like formal wear or casual wear?
A bit of both. Like I like efficiency. I like just wearing the same stuff every day. I like somewhere in between. I don't like too formal or too casual.
All right.
But yeah, I'm
Smart casual.
I liked it like the in between, smart casual.
Something. Yeah, smart casual is the one. All right. Netflix or YouTube?
I'm not a big YouTube person personally, and I would say Shahid, not Netflix.
Oh, so okay, you web TV. So Shahid.
Streaming, yeah, I'm big on streaming.
Streaming, yeah.
More than YouTube. I think unfortunately YouTube is winning, but I want streaming to win. I want the streaming servers to win.
All right. Web TV is the new era, by the way. Movies or series?
That's a good one. Like I wouldn't say I'm a scriptwriter like you, Willie, but I love storytelling. I think lately series have always been good, but I think series fit streaming quite well. If I have an option to stick something on Shahid, I always go for the series or Netflix. I don't really go for the movies, but movies, 90 minutes of beautiful storytelling is amazing. But yeah, if I had to pick one, I won't sit in the fence. I go with series.
By the way, this is what's happened. I'm a movie guy. I love movies. And what happened to me, I watched in the lockdown. It was the first time I started watching series, and Game of Thrones was the most beautiful thing that ever happened to me when it comes to cinema. It pumped that feeling to come back to scripts and short movies again. By the way, Checked Films will be soon announced. We're gonna do short movies, and in the future maybe I will start doing movies, but I will keep you posted about it. So I have another one which is around your job. Instagram or TikTok? This one is so important for me to hear from you. What do you think?
I like Mark Zuckerberg, and I like Meta, and I think he's also inspired by the Roman Emperor. We call our company Augustus. He studied the only thing he studied.
I want to talk about why you call it Augustus. Is
Yeah.
it behind the emperor? All
yeah,
right.
Roman Emperor. And he came in. He did battles when he was young. He ruled for 70 years, and then it was peace for 200 years after.
Yeah.
The only course that Zuckerberg did before he dropped out of Stanford or Harvard was Rome at the time of Augustus, and he wants to lead for a long time.
Yeah.
So I like the vision behind Meta. I don't really like Adam Mazzari. I don't think he's as inspiring as Zuckerberg, and he's running Threads and Meta at the moment. So look how I'm answering. I'm not like saying, look, obviously Instagram is winning right now in Lovin Dubai in this city. TikTok's a more powerful platform, and go China. Let's have a non-Silicon Valley social network. I don't want them to break it up. I want TikTok to win ultimately, but I like Zuck as well.
All right, so it's very for you. The vision of Zuckerberg, it aligns with yours somehow, or the inspiration is Roman, like the Roman story or the Roman history. But in the same time, TikTok, it's beating the monopoly of what was happening in the US, and that's also inspiring for you.
TikTok should have beaten Instagram, and Zuck turned around and said no.
Yeah.
And he stopped it. He stopped it with Reels, and he stopped it. He killed IGTV, and he's a growth hacking genius.
Yeah.
And it should have killed it, and it didn't. And
But-
Instagram's still around. But TikTok
Yeah.
is a more powerful algorithm, and it suits the use more, but it hasn't killed it in the way it was about to at the time.
Yeah.
And usually what he did was, before antitrust, when they were coming up, he bought them. Like he had an app that showed which apps were being downloaded the most. And then they stopped him using that. That's why he made the 3 billion bid for Snap that Spiegel said no to. But that's how he got WhatsApp, and that's how he got Instagram. And he would have bought TikTok. He buys what he can, so he copies.
Yeah.
So, but he kept TikTok at bay. But they're both on the rise, obviously.
I think Instagram is unbeatable, to be honest, because TikTok, the way TikTok went viral, I think, as per what I know, is that the China like capitalized on India, and India is a huge population, so they push TikTok out there. I think that's the secret of TikTok.
Maybe, but now it's banned in India.
Now it's banned. I think.
But
I
also
don't know.
they spent more money on ads on Facebook than they spent like billions of dollars on download.
The branding
app.
the branding is not up to it. I mean, TikTok is being branded on Instagram. I have ads about
Yeah,
TikTok
so
on
it's not
Instagram,
even for branding. It's just to download the app. They just aggressively got kids to use the app.
which is I don't think is the best way. But no, we cannot always predict the future. All right, this is another one: dollars or bitcoins?
Okay, so I do hope we move off the dollar as the reserve currency of the globe. I hope we move off it. Whether it's dirhams or I wish there was a Gulf currency like the euro. I wish we had another coin, a digital coin, but I don't. Bitcoin, I don't think we're going to use it in the same way as dollar, but I think there should be a digital currency for the region.
I hope so. Yeah, that's a good idea.
That's like pan-Arab, and that's kind of linked to one regional central bank or something like that.
Cool. A good idea, by the way, about the digital thing for the region. Do or Etisalat? What did you go for?
Do. No, I'm Dubai over Emirates telco. Yeah.
The beach, JBR or Kite Beach?
Kite Beach. I love running on Kite Beach. I swim there all the time. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the next question is this: cardio or weightlifting?
Cardio. I'm a triathlete.
All right. So there is this one. I was not sure I'm gonna ask you, but I was like, it's okay. I'm gonna ask him. Brunch or nightclub? I know it's like it doesn't fit your lifestyle. Neither. Cool. I knew
brunch,
it's the wrong one.
But brunch is lunch, so brunch is like avocado and toast. So brunch is a late breakfast. So yeah.
Yeah. All right. Cool. So the last two ones: BMW or Mercedes?
Neither. Come on. Like if I had to choose, I'd go for BMW. But they're both German. They're both okay. Like I do like some German culture. I spoke it. I lived there. I worked in Munich and Regensburg. But yeah, I mean, like let's have a regional automotive. Like they're building the Lucid factory in Saudi. Like let's have more stuff from here. Yeah, the Industrial Revolution in Germany. You've had your time. Move on.
Perfect. Yeah, you answered it perfectly. Do you plan one day to leave the UAE, or is not in your plans?
Don't get emotionally attached to something that you can't walk away in 10 seconds flat if you feel the heat around the corner. That's Al Pacino and the Robert De Niro quote from the movie Heat. I don't want to leave here. I don't want to leave the region. I love building. I love what the direction the region is going, but I'm also a practical person.
Richard, it was amazing. I hope we had more time. I think you're not a 1 hour podcast. I think we have to do 2 hours. In the future, I hope we can meet again in the future and we do another podcast. I have a lot of questions to ask you, but Richard from Lovin Dubai checked. It was amazing.
Well done.
Yeah,
I like the branding. I like what you're trying to do. Good luck with it. What's the side hustle?
The side hustle, I said